News from North Little Rock. A very North Little Rock summer. It's been a quiet quarantine in North Little Rock. When Cristobal approached unto the throne of Louisiana and stretched forth his hand to Arkansas and sprinkled us with the holy water of a blessed Gulf baptism, I wanted to believe that he could exorcise summer's fiery grip. But alas, this kind of thing only goeth out by prayer, fasting, and the old-fashioned spinning of the globe. Anyone who has grown up here can testify to the hellishness of an Arkansas summer. You know, that burning intensity that both bears down on you from on high and soaks up through the soles of your flip-flops like the devil's sponges. We of Central Arkansas bear witness to weather of unparalleled passion and commitment, weather that moves into the valley of the shadow from the Ozarks and Ouachitas and lingers long, sending sunblock sails in between straight to the great blue sky. Last spring, I got a new neighbor. She looked young and small and frail, and when I introduced myself, she told me she was excited about moving in just in time for summer. That's how I knew she wasn't from here. I wanted to extend the very best in Southern hospitality, so I felt compelled to warn her, and I said, "Bless your heart, girl," because that's how all the nicest warnings start out. And I let her know just how surprised she was about to be by the unholy humidity of an Arkansas summer. She smiled one of those Mona Lisa smiles and told me that she had grown up in her grandparents' house at Holly Beach, Louisiana, and she drawled, "If it gets more humid here than on the Gulf, I will indeed be surprised." That's how I knew she belonged here. It was almost as if God herself had built this girl for Central Arkansas, and all I could say was, "Hallelujah, sister." We spent a lot of time that summer sitting in lawn chairs that were perched in wading pools filled with ice water that wrinkled our toes, drinking a brightly colored rum-sweet concoction she called a hurricane, which she served in fish bowls with a long straw and frozen cherries floating around in them like buoys in the ocean. We sat there and held those cold glass globes in our laps with both hands and swirled our feet in the water and soaked up the sunshine, and she said this was almost like living on the beach. And I thought, that must be what heaven is like. But then she mentioned that stepping outside on the Gulf was like stepping into a sauna that always smelled a little like stale cigarettes. And she said the humidity was constant year-round. And she showed me pictures of a green pond algae fence that looked like molded French fries sticking up from the sand. Almost thou persuadeth me to leave Arkansas, neighbor, but I haven't yet evolved gills, and there's a pandemic going on. Which reminds me of how my daddy survived the Spanish flu by eating an entire rack of ribs at every meal. But that's a story for another time. And that's the news from North Little Rock, where you never know what interesting things you're going to find just around the corner.